Bum ba-dum ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Ba-dum-da-dum-da-dum. Good morning, everybody. This is Coach K, and I just remembered that my music's not playing. But I still wanted to say hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. I am so excited to be here. I just joined in, and hopefully you joined in too. If you would let me know if you are around, I'm going to double check and make sure that everything is working correctly, which it should be. But again, I just want to make sure we are going well. So I'm going to double check on my feed here. There we go. Awesome. I am ready to get going. So I don't know who all is here. Crystal, I did see your comment about 6 a.m. I'm so sorry. I know it's earlier time. So I apologize for the earliness. I'm trying to do this because I had a few United Kingdom friends of mine who wanted to join this. So wanted to make sure we are all good to go. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you. So let's get going. Without further ado, I want to make sure we are ready to rock and roll. Today, we're going over 4 strategies of frameworks that enablement to use with ChatGPT or other large language models. Good morning, Chuck. Good to see you. Glad we're actually working today. This is good. So here's our agenda for today. I'm going to do a quick about me. Please know it's going to be 3 minutes or less. I'm going to take a lot of time on that. I'm going to do a summary of the big 3 tools. Good morning, Michelle. Good to see you, my friend. I'm going to go over frameworks and strategies, or what I should say, frameworks versus strategies, and how to use each one. Good morning, Britta. Good morning, Austria. Awesome. Love you guys are here. Then we're going to go over the 4 frameworks or strategies. And then lastly, we want to cover really quickly the GTM AI Academy, which I'm really excited to finally get launching here, which is going to be fun. So if I talk too fast, please stop me. I have to make sure I'm speaking slow so I don't go too fast for anybody. But please, I'm not offended if you give me feedback of any kind. All right. So today's learning objective. I want to make sure I kind of redo. Hi, Ebony. Good morning. I want to make sure we are very clear on what we're trying to do here. The goal with anything I do with AI specifically is to make sure that we are creating business impact. We're not just learning a bunch of tools, just learn tools. Learn tool is great. Hey, Kanal, good to see you. Glad you're happy about the time. Oh, cool, Paris. That's awesome. This is way cool. Anyways, but the goal is to make sure we're having business impact, not just doing fancy things with tools to make ourselves feel better about stuff, but we actually are doing something hopefully fun and impactful. Quick about me. If you attended my last thing, you would have seen this picture, but this is this is the AI version of me. It's kind of funny because I actually have done an AI version that's actually does not have hair, but this particular program forced me to have hair. So I want to share this because I have a point around AI, which means it's not always perfect. So this is my model-esque version, which I'm definitely obviously not like that, but the right side's me. I pronounce my last name Carford. I go by Coach K. It was a nickname given to me mostly because my last name's hard to spell. And I'm currently the head of GTM Revenue Enablement and Product Marketing for a team or a company called Symmetric. Really excited. Been having a blast with them. I've been in enablement for 10 years, 3 startups, 2 Fortune 500 companies, consulted a bunch of people. I've been around the block a little bit for enablement, and then specifically with AI. I was introduced, it's 2023. So back in 2019, I was actually introduced to AI. Quick story, a company 2 years ago, I really deep dove in 21 because the company I was with purchased or bought an AI specific company. And I spent a lot of time with the CEO diving into their specific AI technology, only because I was the one who was enabling both customers and the team on how to use the AI system they had, which was amazing. And back then it blew my mind. And that's kind of when I started nerding out on AI and all the possibilities. And he was actually the one who introduced me to ChatGPT back in last November when it first came out, and been nerding out and having fun with it ever since. So, and then I had 6 months where I was on the job market. So I had a lot of time on my hands to both look for work and to study AI and how to use it with just the job, hopefully. So that's where my background in AI comes from. And on a personal note, I am a proud dad of cute little twins who are almost 3, and they're crazy, and it's a lot of fun, and I love every second of it. So that's a little bit about me. Moving on. So, oops, sorry about this. I want to show you guys, before we jump in, I will be showing you options on one of these strategies or frameworks using what I call the big 3 large language models. First one's Claude. I'm explaining this one really quick. Claude is a AI large language model built by Anthropic. Um, so they pride themselves on having more of an unbiased view. So if you think about when you look at ChatGPT versus Bard versus Claude, Claude likes to become the reduced biased version. It's not as creative as is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is kind of like your creative math gifted cousin, who's just like so good at creating things and good at math and coding. The problem is that sometimes you don't want to have an AI be creative with a transcript from a call that you need to have specific notes from, as an example. So there are times and places for it, but I want to make sure I brought up Claude because it is, in my opinion, actually really, really good at what it does. And one thing to note is that every AI has what's called a contextual window, which means that after a certain amount of words, it starts to forget what you talked about. So you have to remind it continually of what's going on. Claude has one of the largest contextual windows, which is 75,000 words. So that means 75,000 words of either text you put in or text you get back. It has that much memory, which if you don't know how many words 75,000 words is, that's a lot. Probably number 2 on creativity as far as creativity is concerned, and then it's known again for reduced bias. So kind of cool. Google Bard, both these, by the way, are free. AI or Claude does not have web browsing ability. Google Bard obviously does. Its word limit is a little bit less. I'd say it's number 3 on creativity, and I'll show you in a second. It's not as good as ChatGPT as far as coding. And then it can leverage Google's brain, and there's a lot of cool things you can do with like accessing Google Sheets or Google Slides or some other things you can't do with other products because they're not involved with Google. Also, when it says parameters trained on, this is the information that each AI was trained on or areas. So as an example, with ChatGPT specifically, which we'll get into in a second, some of the stuff it was trained on was anything from articles from the web to Reddit posts to books to all sorts of stuff. So billion means it has a lot of information on how it's trained for both context on how to answer and text or versions of how it speaks. So the number of parameters, having more isn't always necessarily best because it can become, if the AI is not trained correctly, it can become complicated and make their answers not as precise or clear. But in general, the big 3 have about this same. So you'll see here, ChatGPT is the biggest with 3.5, version 3.5 having 175 billion. We don't know for sure, but 4.0, hi Heather, 4.0 has 1 trillion parameters, which if you know what that means, it means it's crazy. And then here's the comparison between the 3. So Bard's free, Claude's free. I think they do have a paid version now. And then ChatGPT actually just released their enterprise version, which is a different story, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then 3.5 is a 3,000 word limit. 4.0 is 25,000 limit as far as your words, which means that of the 3, ChatGPT, quote unquote, forgets the things it's going through faster than the others. And you do have access to the internet with the 4.0 plugins. As far as creativity, I'd put it as number 1 for obvious reasons. It's really, really good at it. And then it has more human-like response, reasoning, and creativity. So there's a lot of cool things you do with this. I'm going to show you how I use each of these, or I should say, I'm going to show you how each one responds to a specific part of what we are doing today, and just give you options or show you what the differences are between the strengths or weaknesses of each system. So good morning, everybody. Again, good to see you. All right, so today, if you have not already, go into OpenAI, create a free account. Claude also requires you to do an account. You can log in through Google or through whatever email system you go through. And then Google Bard is actually something you just have to access through your Gmail if you have one. So you can do all 3 for free right now if you want to. I highly recommend OpenAI because there's tons of content and training around it. But again, you just go there, create one for free, and hopefully you can follow along if you have not already. I'm assuming everyone on here has already, but just want to make sure we're clear. To give some context, you want to use 3.5 to research because of speed. Like, this thing pumps out information really, really fast. However, on 4.0, I use this more for the reasoning or content creation because it gets a little bit more specific. My results a little bit, I shouldn't say a lot better. And the logic or reasoning that I can request from it as far as strategy or kind of brainstorming is much better on 4.0 versus 3.5, just as an FYI. Again, this is the $20 ChatGPT Plus account. I would highly recommend. This is one of the things that I would pay personally if my company was not paying for it. I would highly recommend you do this. And I know some of you may not have ability to use ChatGPT because I heard Michelle or somebody told me the other day that was their company does not allow this one. So I don't know if that's the case for all AIs, but I would highly recommend getting at least this one on a personal basis. All right, so let's kind of jump into each thing. What time are we at? Oh, good, 7:10. We got lots of time. So frameworks, I want to define what that means for me, and hopefully we'll be on the same page, which means this is a very simple guide of how to structure prompts for the ideal output or result. What I'm finding is that a lot of people are using, like you'll see on the internet, I'm sure you guys have seen it because I've seen a lot of it, where people will give out lists of 1,000 prompts you can use with ChatGPT and charge you, $10, $50, whatever it is, which those are great. But to me, there's two weaknesses. One, the prompts are like usually one sentence long, and not that that means it's bad. It just means it's not as strong as it could be. And two, any large language model or AI technology is more of a conversation versus just a one-time input and you get the perfect output the first time. It usually doesn't happen that way. We might in the future, but as far as I know right now, we don't have that. So it does require some tweaking. I think what most people experience is that when they go in and use these models or these tools, the tweaking that was required because the first initial input, their prompt initially, is not very good. So the output they get is kind of crappy. So that people get frustrated, they think the tool's bad. And in my opinion, 90% of the time, most of the time, it's because the prompt you're putting in is not good. It's not because the tool is not good. So hopefully it gives you I don't know if it makes you more frustrated or help. But today I'm here to help you to make sure we can get you to the next level. Strategy is a little bit different. I would say different methods of arriving at an ideal output or response. So frameworks is like literally giving you like a sections of a prompt saying make sure you do this, this, and this. And then strategy is something you can use with pretty much any framework. It'll just give you different results based on what you're asking for. Give me a thumbs up or a hey or yeah or something. Let me know this is making sense. There's 25 of you here, which is awesome. And I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Just give me a heck yes if this all makes sense. That would be great. Okay, moving on. So here's the 4 strategies of frameworks. The first one we'll begin with is called the scribe method, which I'll go in detail in a moment. And in fact, I'm going to one moment here, and I'm going to shift this so that you guys. I'm going to do full screen. This makes it a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so right here, sorry, I had to make my screen bigger, so hopefully this will be better for you guys to view, so you don't have to look at me the whole time. Here's the scribe method. Then we have what I'm calling concept smashing, then expert source content, and then lastly is example mimicry, which I had to use that word just because I like the word mimicry. But these are the 4 we're going to go over today, and hopefully this will be helpful for you. And I'll also be putting some of the prompts in, or I should say, I'll give you the document or access to the document so you can access these later and use on your own, hopefully, workflow, if it makes sense for you. And bonus, if we have time, hopefully we will, I'll go through some plugins and other stuff, and I'll show you some examples today as well, but I want to make sure we cover a couple of the plugins in ChatGPT. All right, framework. So we're going to jump into Scribe. Again, please let me know if this makes sense. These are a little bit smaller because I want to make sure I can fit this all to the screen, but here we go. So Scribe. This obviously is an acronym, stands for specific things. So the very first one is specify a role, which means you want to have it be, hi, Tammy. You want to give the large language model of whoever you're talking to a role of what you're trying to accomplish. This way it gives the AI context, like the better context or information you can give to an AI, the better response it's going to give you. So in this one, this is super broad. So blog writer, customer service bot, for you, it might be an enablement expert, or it could be a sales coaching expert, or it could be content expert, or whatever the output you're trying to go for is. You want to make it that role. Next up, you want to give it some context, meaning like background details, examples, more context, the better. Part of what I'm going to go through with mimicry is part of this, but I'll go through that in a second. But the goal is that this context piece can be short. It can be 2 or 3 paragraphs long, but you want to give it as much context as you can so that it will help the AI be able to understand and learn what it's trying to accomplish. Hi, Niels. Good morning. Next up is responsibility. So you want to clearly outline the task responsibility you want the large language model or the AI to perform. Be as specific as possible in describing it, what you want to do and what success looks like. Again, I know this probably won't make a whole lot of sense until I show you an example, which I will, but I want to make sure I can show you the overall framework, and then I'll dive into a specific example for you. So again, specify role, context, responsibility, and the next step is instructions. Provide the LLM with a list of detailed instructions that you want it to follow in order to get the output you desire. Break complicated tasks into easy to follow steps and guide the large language model through the interaction with you. Please know, I know this takes a little bit more time than just writing a sentence into ChatGPT and trying to get an output. But it's definitely worth the time when you're trying to get a quality out or a quality response back from it. So scribe, the SCRI is the first prompt. Then we have a break, meaning that the ChatGPT or Bard or Claude will respond to you and give you a response based on these 4 things. After that, you want to do what's called banter. So again, I'm going to show you some examples, but you want to kind of go back and say, hey, tell me more about this section, or can you redo it by this, or can you add this topic? You can kind of banter, have a conversation with it to make sure it's doing what you're wanting it to do or going the direction you want. And then lastly, after you've bantered for maybe 2 or 3 times, then you do what's called evaluate. And this is exactly what I'd put in every single time. And I have amazing results from it from all 3 models, meaning Claude, Bard, or ChatGPT, which is this: act as an expert and a harsh critic in this topic and tell me how to make the above response 100 times better. You'll be amazed of how impactful it can be, because sometimes as an editor, when you're looking at the response that ChatGPT, for example, will give you, it's broad or it's not specific enough for something. When you put in this response of act like an expert and harsh critic in this topic and tell me how to make it better by 100 times, you'll be amazed of the critiques it gives you. And then when you ask it afterwards to reapply its feedback to the original response, what it gives you is like so much better than it was before, which is mind-blowing. It has the ability to do that, but it's awesome. So that is Scribe. Before I move forward, give me a yes, this makes sense in the comments, or let me know how you guys are doing. Make sure you all are good. Everyone from all over the world, which is pretty fun. This is awesome. So yeah, give me an idea. Is this making sense? I'm going to wait for a second, make sure everyone is following me before I move forward to an example. Wait for it. Wait for it. Let me know if this is okay. Give me a thumbs up. Or there we go. We're good. Okay. Moving on. So let's give through a specific example of Scribe. So here's an S. Hey, Sabrina. Good morning. Here's the specify role. So here in this one, what I wanted to do was an onboarding program. And again, I'm going to give you this prompt. So if you want to use it or tweak it for yourself, you can. But you want to give it a role. So you say, okay, you are a virtual enablement coach, because my team's all virtual. So I want to make sure we have this all ready to go in specific industry. You work for my company. I usually like to try to include a 1 sentence value statement or value prop, just so that AI has context on my company. And this is a company, my company, that helps blank industry. Let's just say, for example, banking, streamline their onboarding processes. You're an expert in creating onboarding materials and training programs. That is the entirety of the context. I can always go more, but for now, I'll keep it to that. Your responsibility, your task is to assist in creating 90-day onboarding plan for a new role, which let's just say is a salesperson. And the plan should cover KPI-driven performance behaviors, company culture, and initial projects. That's the goal. Again, you can change this to however you want to do this, but for me, I'm trying to keep this simple based on, what I do most of the time with onboarding. And then next, this is I, which means to collaborate with the user to gather about the role, tech stack, or any needs or preferences they may have. Develop a week-by-week plan that includes technical training, culture immersion, initial projects. Make sure to allocate time for check-ins and feedback and include activity-based KPIs. And I say that because I don't want lagging KPIs. I want what they can control and what they can measure on a weekly basis. That'd be appropriate. And then the goal is to help a new onboarding role be able to be full workload and trust by the end of 90 days. That's the goal. And then on the backside, so let's just say this is the backside of it. As far as bantering, ask the user for feedback to refine the plan as needed. Once the user is satisfied, meaning me, finalize the 90-day onboarding plan and encourage them to implement it. Then ask for feedback to improve. I included the BE in this prompt, but again, you'll see how I use it both in the initial prompt and then afterwards to both ask questions and to clarify and hopefully make sure it makes sense. And I added the expert make things 100 times better. I did that in the chat, which I'll show you in a second. And then I tell it how I want it to respond to me, which means, hi, I'm a virtual enablement coach specializing in onboarding new hires in this industry. Kick things off. Can you provide details, specific needs or preferences, information the company might have or company culture, past successful onboarding plans, materials you've used, which again, if you don't have anything, I'll show you how you can work around that if you don't have anything to share. Once I have this, we can dive into creating an effective 90-day onboarding plan together and wait for you to respond. And if you say, understood, let's get to work. So before I get to, yep, that's this one. Hang on one second. We're going to skip this for a second. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to come back to that one. Okay. So here is, I did this in a couple of different versions. Here's 3.5. Hang on, let me go way up here. So I literally took this same prompt and put into version 3.5 so you can kind of see the output. So here's what it responds literally as I asked it to. So you see this, hi, I'm an enablement coach. I need these 4 things. And then I posted my company information. So I want to show you a couple things with this. I said, here's my company. Here's a paragraph about my value prop. So I put that in that I already have like on my website or somewhere else. So I just copy pasted it in. Then I have the role is an enterprise sales rep. Tech stack is my tech stack, which is all of this stuff. And then my needs is get them up and running fast so you can start producing pipeline quickly. And the sales cycle is an average of 6 months long. Again, you can change this to however specific to you. Culture and values. This is my company's cultures. And then the examples of that culture is, here's an example of an onboarding plan I've used before, which is core competencies, technical skills, calm, project, team, blah, blah, blah. And I literally took and pasted. So if you looked at my LinkedIn from last Friday or for Thursday, I posted an example onboarding for an enablement team member. I literally took that and copy pasted it into this as an example for ChatGPT to follow because I like that format. So I said, follow this format. So if you looked at my LinkedIn, you can literally take my post, copy it, paste it into this, and it'll give it an example if you want to use that. You don't have to. You can use your own thing, but that's just an example. You can take my post and make your job easier. But again, I say the above is only example. Please do not copy this exactly. Use it as a guide. What I need you to do is to build your onboarding plan. Make sure you have these things. Build pipeline fast. Be ready for full production at the end of onboarding. And enjoy the process and feel like they're succeeding. I think it's kind of a big deal to make sure people enjoy the onboarding. Please include industry, customer persona education, value prop, and pains we solve training and how we sell it symmetric training along with anything else you feel like we might need. So this looks complicated, but when you look at it, like I copy pasted most of this. This took me 5 minutes to put in here. It may look long, but it didn't take that long. So then they said, great, here is the onboarding plan. Bam. Core competencies, it gave you this stuff with our specific stuff, meaning our tech stack, communication skills. First 30 days, which is all of this. Bam, give me KPIs and daily 15 of what I need to do. And you can see like this is still pretty broad, and I have to make this more specific, which I'll get to in a second. But then 31 through 60 days, here it is, and then 61 through 90, and then also additional notes. So what I said was, please review the last responses. This is me kind of bantering. Some of the tasks you gave or KPIs are from the example I gave you and not specific to the sales role. I have noticed with 3.5, not 4.0, I have to do this more often. I have to make sure, and I say, hey, you have to go back and change this because it's not accurate. For example, up here in the, make sure, right there, week 15, translate or edit one piece of content. That's from my enablement onboarding plan. That's not specific to a salesperson, which is why I say go back, make sure that everything I gave you are from the examples I gave you and not specific, that are not specific to a sales role. Try again and make everything specific and applicable to onboarding this rep. Again, with 4.0, I see that I don't have to do this as much. With 3.5, I have to correct it more often. It's kind of like if I had a college student intern versus an expert. That's kind of how I view it with 3.5. It's fast and it's not always the best quality. I mean, it's good, but it's not always as accurate as 4.0 is. So now it says, great, I'm gonna change this. And that now this second version is more applicable to a sales role. So if we go back to, where was I before? Sorry if I'm skipping around a lot. Where was I before? Right there. In week 3, let's see how week 3 changed. Right there. Okay, there it is. Totally changed. Now that I asked it to, it's making day or week 3 all about tools and tech, which again I can banter that and say I don't agree with that, or I think something else should happen or something. But the point is it gives me a framework that I can edit and change. It gives me all this. Okay, so can you do this again and instead give me a week-by-week overview without skipping any weeks for full 90 days? So I want to have a week-by-week breakdown because here you'll see that it kind of goes week 11 by 12. I want to have every week broken down. I don't want to skip anything. So I give the same thing and say, okay, start with, I'm going to train a little bit, start with education around the industry and the pains and problems Symmetric solves for. Because in the previous version, it made the pains and problems or the value prop or Symmetric, what we bring to the field, It was in week 8, and I was like, no, we got to start. In my opinion, I should start with that, or at least in the first couple weeks, not be halfway through it and then talk about it. So that changed it for me by making, this week 1 kind of basic introduction, but week 2 a deep dive into understanding customer pain points. So I can tweak this based on what I think is important, because I, as an expert, can tell it whatever I think should be more important, and it will categorize it or change it based on what I'm thinking. Please let me know if this is making sense. If you don't mind getting a comment saying, yes, I'm with you, or no, let me know if this works. But this is where I'm at. Then adjust the entire 12-week plan based on my feedback to make sure it breaks everything down. You'll see here it still combines some of it, which then I have to go again, say, hey, try this again. Do not combine any weeks. Again, 4.0, I do not have to do this. With 3.5, I have to ask it several times to do it. And it should do it this time. So it has week 1, week 2, week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, they did it this time. And still the content's actually really good. And then it broke it down by weeks after I prompted it several times. It didn't get everything yet, so I said, please continue. And it gave me all the rest of, if you ever find yourself, by the way, if it stopped, you're like, hey, that's not the whole plan. Where's the rest of the plan? You can say continue, and it will keep giving you like the next few months of onboarding if you wanted it to. It go as long as you want it to. I could, in theory, create an entire year plan, not just a quarterly onboarding plan, from one prompt if I wanted to. But this one gave me week 25 ongoing sales excellence if I needed to. But again, this is what I had to do, is say, do this for all 24 weeks. This time include activity-based KPIs must be done at the end of each to move on and make this capstone certification at the end of onboarding that would be specific to the role and show mastery of the content. So I'm trying to get it to give me the output I'm looking for, if not the entire thing, at least 90 of the way percent there. So then it gives me this. It gives me a KPI, and please know this is activity-based KPI, meaning the person who's being onboarded can actually control it and they can do it. So that's what it looks at and says, okay, based on what they're doing in each week, I'm going to make a KPI or an activity for that week. So then I, as an enabler, can track what they have done or haven't done to make sure they're on pace for onboarding. And again, I can always adjust this. These are just ideas. Prepare a presentation, pass a product knowledge test, role play scenario with objection handling, conduct a simulated outreach using outreach, customer persona profile, pain points, and preferences. So it kind of goes on and on and on through the whole 12-week or 24-week program. Actually, that's longer than that. That's okay. And then it ends with a capstone of this. Okay. Now you'll see after this is what I call banter. I'm now done with the bantering after the first initial script or prompt. Then I say, can you review this as an expert and tell me what needs to be changed to make it 100 times better? And then it gives me a list of things. This, all this stuff. Manager involvement, which is good. Peer learning, feedback mechanism, realistic timeframes, interactive learning. This is actually really good feedback. So now this output up here, which is okay, it's good. Like it's getting me there. It's not exactly what I want. I can now have it critique it. And then you'll see it down here as 20 things. Yeah, tons of this. It has tons of feedback. Then I say, can you redo the entire onboarding plan and with all the above recommendations? So then it gives me the entire thing back. And you'll see that some of this is very, very specific to what I'm looking for. And it includes all of the expert feedback that it gave to me that I can just say, do that. Put all that in there. And it gives me all of this stuff. So let me just go down here real fast. I wanted to show a visual. Yeah, that's it. Now let's go to, okay, 4.0. So I'm going to show you the same thing. You'll see that I got to the end result much faster. So here's 4.0, and I have some plugins which aren't going to matter right now. I have the same thing right here. It asked me the same question because I trained it to. I gave it the exact same input. All of it is exactly the same. And then I said, great, let me do some comprehensive info. You'll see that already included week 1, KPIs. Like what I'm looking for is much closer to what it was before. Oh, Audrey, you're so nice. Thank you, Michelle. I know this is nice, right, Michelle? This is like amazing. But here's where we're at. So then I had to ask it the same thing. This is getting closer. Give me a week-by-week review. I changed the prompt because the output it gave me is different than 3.5, so I had to change it a little bit. But anyways, point is just saying, hey, can you give me a week-by-week review as activity-based KPIs required? Please also end with a capstone. So if you'll see here, this prompt was like after, hey, no worries, Tammy. You can watch this later, hopefully. This prompt I'm looking at right here, this looking closer, I had to wait till probably 10 prompts in to get this at 3.5. I am prompt number 2. Oh, no, sorry, 3. I am prompt number 3, and I'm already here where I'm starting to banter and critique something. So you'll see I get there much faster. Then it gives me all this stuff based on feedback, week by week review, bam, 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 bam. And by the way, also looked at, like, I wanted to make sure that sales team was like up and running with the basics by week 2. So by week 3, we're actually starting to go for lead gen and pipeline building, because that's what I wanted, is to make sure we can get them active as soon as possible. So then I asked the question, can you review this as an expert, make this 100 times better? It gives me a list of things it would do, 12 things instead of 20, but these are actually a lot more applicable. I'll let you kind of read a few of these, because these are, it not only gives me feedback, but it says KPI suggested for that feedback, which is pretty killer. Whereas 3.5 did not give me that specific KPI I could look at to compare. And I said, great, can you redo the entire onboarding plan with the above recommendations? I said, yes, here's the whole thing, blam. Now I'm at the end. So you'll see here, this chat is much shorter, but I got to the end much faster with 4.0 versus 3.5, because again, the reasoning is better, the logic is better, what it's using is better, the smarts of it is better. This is one reason why I like using 4.0, is because of this reason. I can get to what I need to get to much faster. All right. Now I'm going to go into what's called, let me go back in here real fast to what's called concept smashing. We're at 7:30. Hopefully I have enough time to do all this. But let's go to slideshow real fast. There we go. Hopefully you can see this. Let me know before I move forward. Let's see here. Oh, Ebony, good question. Just so you know, the plugins are default for me. This particular prompt did not access any plugins to do what I asked it to do. I know that because when it accesses plugins, it'll say accessing this plugin, and then it'll provide me a prompt or output. So just know what I just showed you did not use any plugins whatsoever. It was just default 4.0, just FYI. Anyways, just let me know if this is making sense. I'm going to move on to the next concept. Hopefully make sure I'm not losing anybody. This is concept smashing. I'm doing a little bit different now, where I want to create a coaching program specifically for sales leaders and managers in my industry. So this is very high level. So now I want to say you work for this company. Oops, let me go back for a second. You're an expert in applying principles from these 2 books. These are 2 modern 2023 books that talk about sales coaching. Again, you don't have to use these 2. I'm just using this as an example. If you haven't read these, I'd highly recommend you do, but you can use pretty much any book out there. Just remember, if you use 3.5, it only can access September 2021 information. So if you have a new book from 23, it's not going to be able to access it unless you train the content into it, meaning you put a paragraph about the book in it so it can has context on what you're talking about. Arun, yes, this will be available to you, so you should have the recording afterwards. All right, so we're using Scribe method. Your task is to develop comprehensive sales coaching program aimed at training managers on how to be better coaches. The program should incorporate effective human-to-human connection, influence techniques, and practical exercises. Collaborate with users to do the following: gather information on current sales coaching practices, design a program outline that includes modules on human-to-human connection, influence techniques, practical exercises, and so on. So here is the, oops, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to go to mimicry yet. So let's go to, let me jump in here real fast, and we'll go to the version 3.5 concept smashing. So here's the exact thing I just sent you, or I gave you. Again, I will give you a document where you can literally copy paste all of these if you wanted to, or adjust as you need to. But here's, I posted in 3.5, said understood. I told it, wait for the user to respond. If you understand, say understood, let's get to work. I like to do that because I don't want to have it start responding. I want to say just, I got it, ready to go, tell me what we need to do. So then I give it a specific paragraph, which is specific to my company. So we use force management. Here's we want to build relationship with C-suite leaders for Symmetric. Our value prop is this. I just copy paste that from my website. And then 2, I'm not sure on skills they need to improve on. They're great managers but need help. Assume they're starting from scratch. And then 3, existing materials are non-existent because we're just starting this program. Meaning I have materials, but I want to see what this can create from scratch. So I hope that's clear. Like, I know I can create this from scratch. And I could use something from my past, but for today, to show you, I'm going to say, I don't have anything. Help me from scratch to create this. Great. So here's the thing. Here's modules. Module 2, it gives me all the stuff saying, okay, here's force management and the sales process, kind of an overview, relationships, crafting communication, influence techniques, building practices, and so on and so forth. It gives me all these modules. I said, great. Can you give me an example schedule of when a manager is supposed to do this with a rep weekly across 1 month for an ideal cadence? Because I'm like, great, take all these modules. Now, how does the manager actually do this on a week-by-week, month-by-month basis? How are they supposed to apply all this? And again, assume they only have 1 hour per week to meet with the team, and they'll have take at least half of that to talk about how they're doing personally, deal reviews, issues they have, or other matters. So I'm letting it know that it's only going to have a half hour to do coaching. So it requires the manager does a little homework before the call and only has 30 minutes to coach behaviors. Assume we have identified competencies, because we have, that the sales rep needs to work on based on force management or books already defined. So it's saying, okay, go back up here to the books, force management, or I gave it right down here, force management, but then say based on the books, there's competencies in these 2 books plus force management. And assume that they need to work on this and on the competencies already defined. Please include at the end of each session an example of goal activity-based KPI that the manager can help develop the sales team member that make the most amount of impact. Please let me know if I'm going too fast. If I'm scrolling too fast, please tell me and I will stop. But give me an idea and let me know if this is making sense. Just give me some feedback saying, yes, I'm with you, or to say too fast, slow down in the comments. Let me know. So then it gives me an ideal cadence for these things, which is week 1, week 2. Again, first 30 minutes kind of gives you this kind of gives a script of what they're supposed to follow, hopefully. And then you'll see all the same stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then you'll see I use the same exact prompt, which is be an expert and harsh critic. Tell me what would make this 100 times better. I do this pretty much with every single prompt I've ever done. I always use this. Then it gives me the feedback. Bam, 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 bam. All this other stuff, coaching documentation, which is good. Like I did not put that in the prompt to include coaching documentation, which is kind of crucial for tracking. Dedicated skill sessions, weekly check-ins, structured development plans, all of this. This is in version 3.5. This is good stuff. And so I said, great. Please redo the entire 4-week overview and include all the above to what's already given. Great. So then it says, here we need to do. Blah, 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 blah. Gives me all of the stuff I need to do for each week on a consistent basis. And it also gives me a review of all the enhancements that it did, which is nice. So again, there's another one too. Mentoring, pair reps with mentors for additional support. It's just phenomenal. I love doing that. I love doing mentor programs in general, but again, I did not prompt that. So I wanted to see what it created for me based on having no information about coaching or just the books that I gave it. And then lastly, can you give me a summarized version of the 4 weeks that would work in a diagram in Mermaid syntax and include the code? So if you know the system, it can create for you syntax or coding language of JSON, Mermaid, HTML, pretty much any coding it can create for you. So then it spit out this for me, and I'll show you what I did. I went to mermaid.live, this right here. Kanal, you're so kind. It means a lot coming from the master. I'm on mermaid.live, and I put in this prompt. So I literally took this code, copied it, and posted it into Mermaid, which creates diagrams. And it gave me this very high level overview, which is not bad. It's not bad for a first time through. I did the same thing here with enabled plugins. So one of the plugins, Ebony, to your question was, I have right now AI Overlord or Council, I should say. I have Diagram and I have Web Pilot as my 3 plugins. Please note 3.5 up here, these books, I got these books from, let me show you where I got it from. I got it from Bard. Can you tell me the top books on sales coaching in 2023? I picked the first 2. In 3.5, this does not have access to 2023 information. So technically, they have no idea what it's talking about, but it did a pretty good idea with based on no clue of what the heck these books are about. 4.0, however, because I have the Web Pilot plugin, which it can look at the internet and give it self-education, and it has the diagram, it can access these books and then educate me on what's in those books to include. So the output's going to be much, much better. So then it said the same thing. Hello, I am your person. So you'll see here, understood, let's get to work. It gave me a little bit more guidance saying, I need this, and I need this. I did the exact same input to this that I did in 3.5. Nothing changed in what I gave it. It's the exact same paragraph. Great. Here's information. Look at the content from the very first try versus 3.5. Very, very interesting how much it changes. Again, the 3.5 gave me modules, but this is kind of like a 1, 2, 3 flow of what you need to do. This gives me an overall, this is how much time each thing would take. So then I have to educate it on the same thing I just said to 3.5, which is assume they only have an hour, and in that hour they have 30 minutes they have to do other stuff. So you only have a half hour to do this, and use force management as a background along with the books to build competencies. So then we have, okay, week 1, personal check-in, coaching, prep. See right here, manager reads chapter 1 of Human Sales Factor. Agenda, important to report emotional intelligence, quick role play, increase LinkedIn connections. Now again, you don't have to do this. This is just ideas from based on the book and all this other stuff. But I love having this because I can say, okay, I don't necessarily agree with that KPI, but I love the rest of the framework, so I'm going to keep it and then change the KPI. It's much faster for me to change one KPI than create an entire month-long coaching program by myself, by scratch, based on my company and industry. Gives me all of this stuff. Bam. I say the exact same thing. Be an expert, harsh critic. What would make this 100 times better? Gives me a lot of things that I think are actually a little bit more specific. So example is KPI goals, make them SMART goals. 3.5 did not suggest SMART goals, which I love that. But that's just an example of what the Power 4.0 has behind it. It gets a little more specific. It suggests AI or VR technology, which you may not have access to, but it's cool that it's suggesting that. And all the other things it's giving me, which again, peer review, but it gives a little bit more guidance, a little more specificity on the things you can do. Same prompts, redo this, include all recommendations, and then bam, I have all this stuff. Look at this. So much more detail in this version versus the last one. I wanted to show you this because the detail and information you get from 4.0 is light years better than 3.5. You can still get there 3.5, but 4.0 is like really, really powerful. Because I have the diagram plugin included, I can then say, can you give me a summarized version of this? I don't have to ask it for a code. I just say, hey, please give me a summarized version. So I can work in a diagram and include the diagram. So I want to show you hopefully this. There we go. I don't know if you can see this, but when you look at the difference between this, it kind of breaks down each week. This is suggested dates, and it gives me week by week, bam, 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 bam. I wanted to have it this way so it give me some check marks. I can say what's working or not working. But look at the difference between that and then this. Super crazy. I wanted to show you different options. So I did this exact same thing with Claude. Claude did pretty good with this. I'm not going to go through the whole thing just because of time, but I went through the exact same process, gave the exact same prompts. I didn't change anything from all of these prompts. I just said, okay, give me all this stuff. And here's the ending with what Claude gave me, kind of some of the same stuff like SMART goals, role play, informal check-ins, a lot of cool stuff from Claude, and it broke it down by week. And then you can give this a mermaid syntax. So I said the same thing. This does not create diagrams in Claude, so I had to make it a code like ChatGPT did, and they gave me this. So you'll see the difference. Here's from Claude, and I just literally copy pasted it. Which again, this is not bad. It just gives me a week by week review. Here's from ChatGPT 4.0, and here is 3.5. Lastly, I did the same thing with Bard because I wanted to pick this. And Bard, sadly, gave me this error code on mermaid.live. So the code did not work, and I've noticed that a lot with Bard. When you ask it for coding of any kind, it's not as accurate. That's one weakness with Bard right now, is it's not the best. However, I did ask it to put it into, it couldn't do the coding. So instead I said, hey, can you give this to me in a Google Sheets, which is right here. And it created for me that. So because Bard is connected to Google, I can create a Google Sheet based on this for each week saying blah, 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 blah. Here's what we need to do. It's not that hard to copy paste this from ChatGPT, but I just want to make sure you could see the options with Bard versus Claude versus ChatGPT 3.5 and 4.0. Hopefully that makes sense. Give me a yes. Hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully this is helpful. I hope this is working. Awesome. I'm so glad you guys are here. I don't know how many people are here, 24 people or so, but I appreciate you joining in. But just give me a comment. Let me know if this is making sense, and hopefully we can move on to the next thing. So mimicry, really quick. I'm going to show you this real fast because I think it's pretty powerful. Mimicry is the active or action or art of imitating. So literally, or I should say someone or something. I forgot that part. Sorry. Imitating someone or something. I love this because I use this all the time. So I have right here this post that was literally posted 30 hours ago. So this is a brand new post from Christian Cross. If you do not follow him regarding cold emailing, that kind of stuff, I would highly recommend going into LinkedIn and following him because he is awesome. So I just want to make sure I give a shout out to him because this is not my content. This is from him. But I'm showing you this as an example of what you can do. You can take posts from me. You can take posts from any enablement thought leader or anybody who has a really good post. You can take it from sales leaders, anybody, and you can create a prompt from it. This is why I'm calling it mimicry. So he said, okay, follow these tips, grab attention, raise awareness, educate the business impact, ask for validation. This is, by the way, the context is he's trying to teach people how do you do cold emails so it's effective in 2023, like modern stuff of how you do it, of making sure you're effective. So then make sure I'm on. Yep. Oh yeah. So here's an example of mimicry. So your example or your expert on this topic, however, but specifically on the one I'll tell you about, what I need is an email from you, your company, to key persons or titles at key industries. However, I want you to follow this exact formula. So I'm going to follow this, just so you know, this is where I'm getting this from. So I have zero pitching, 50 words or less, never ask for time, more you, less I or we, grade 6 language or below, F shape with 3 paragraphs. So all I did was put in what he told me to put in. That's all I'm asking for. And again, no low fluff or filters. And then I added this, just so you know, this is in the prompt I will give you, but I added this and I said professional, smart, Spartan tone, which I find this makes it so it's not so. You'll see sometimes ChatGPT responds in kind of a ChatGPT robotic way. When I put smart, Spartan tone, that means it's like dumbed down, more conversational versus just computer-esque language. So I said, tell me what questions you need answered so we can make the perfect cold email that would drive meetings and results. Gives me a response. Chat will respond, and then you'll answer the questions plus this. So all I'm doing is taking Christian's original post, and I said, great, whatever response ChatGPT or whatever technology gives you, you just add this. Please include grab attention, relevant research, trigger, raise awareness about a business challenge, educate about business impact, and that's it. Oops, let me stop right there. Okay. So let me go into here real fast and let me show you what it did for me. Where am I at? Where's my mimicry? Where are you? I might have to show you this because I know I have it somewhere. Where'd you go? Where are you? Is this outbound sales strategy? Oh, nope. Wrong one. I'm so sorry. I may have to find this real fast. So I don't know where I put it. Where did I put that? I may have to show you what this is. Maybe I didn't use this. I could have sworn that I did. No, I did. I know I did. Okay. I'll come back to that. Let me find it here in a second. I'll show you. But my point is you can use this as a guide. Hang on. Where did my thing go? I'm so sorry, you guys. I know I had this up. Where did I put that? Where did you go? Diagram syntax error. Is that it? No, that's the other one. My friends, I am so sorry. I knew I had this somewhere. Where did it go? Where did my prompting go? Hang on. I'm going to refresh this real quick. Make sure I have it. Ah, there it is. Sorry about that. I just had a good, perfect. My apologies. All right. So here's literally the same post I had. Okay, and then ChatGPT. I did this, by the way, in 4.0. No plugins, just 4.0 plain. I need to know primary service, key benefits, call to action, desired step. So then I gave it, copy pasted my company's stuff. I said, see above to make sure I answer the same question and ask for validation and feedback. And I just said, please include these 3 things that I got from Christian's post, not from me. Great. Blam. Then it gives me its first try. It's good. It's all right. I need it better. So I said, do this again, but make the feedback more genuine and more like actually asking for feedback, less salesy. Took me 10 seconds to write that. There it goes. Bam. Now, what I did is I do the same thing I always do, which is you're an expert harsh critic in the subject. Please tell me what needs to change to make this 100 times better. Then it gives me the issues, these 4 things, and then it gives me the improved version. And you'll see that it's getting much, much closer. But this email, again, is not perfect. But again, I like seeing what kind of results I can get from a simple training I gave it from Christian's LinkedIn post. This is what example what mimicry can do for you, is you look at someone who does something awesome, who knows what they're doing. Chris Orlob is another good sales content leader. If you haven't followed him, you can take their stuff and train ChatGPT to use that same thing, hopefully. Nina, I will give you the same prompt, so please know you don't have to memorize this or write down. I'm going to give it to you all, so please know it'll make your lives much easier. Okay, that is mimicry. Next and last, I should say, is plugins. So I'm going to very, very quickly go through this because I think it's important to do it and show why you'd want to use this. But I call plugins the supercharged version of ChatGPT. There is currently, in September 23, there's 922 plugins, like with airlines, food, diagrams, Canva, plugin finders. There's tons of stuff. Please know there's a few things to be aware of. There are some free, there's some that are paid, and some that require an account to be created. Just know that going in there. But I love plugins because it just takes everything I'm doing and times it by a lot. I'm going to give you my top 5, or I shouldn't say top 5. 5 to consider, I should say, which are these 5. One's called WebPilot, AI PDF. There's Pluginopedia, Diagrams, which is one I just showed that I used today, and then another one called Present Me, Show Me, which creates slides from your stuff. Please know the slides will need adjusting afterwards, but the good thing is it gives you a foundational slide stuff that if I had time, I'd show you, but that you could take and put into either Google Slides or PowerPoint, and then to adjust it, make the images better, and that kind of stuff. So WebPilot, this browses the web, PDFs or data, and chats with the URL. So I could put in, as an example, I use this with competitors all the time. I'll put in a competitor's website, and I'll be like, I need you. I'll specify the role and be like, I need you to be a competitor, a research analysis on this competitor, and we're going to talk, and you're going to help me understand what they do right and what they do wrong, and how we can beat them at Symmetric. So it's pretty powerful to use this alone with just competitive research. AI PDF is like, WebPilot does this as well. I did see a little bit better results with AI PDF as far as chatting with the PDF. So if your team ever has to access 10K financial reports, or if it has to do anything that's really long PDFs, this is a great way to kind of interact with and research out a PDF form. You can also have ChatGPT summarize it, give some key points from it. You can do all sorts of cool things with PDFs with this plugin. Pluginpedia, because there's 922 plugins, you can use this plugin to find plugins. There will be more plugins coming. Sorry about that. And you can use this as a way to help you find the ones that's actually going to help you. Diagram, I showed you an example of that, but it creates schemes, diagrams, flowcharts, mind maps. They're not branded, so you have to adjust the branding in like Canva or something like that, but it does at least give you the format like I just showed you today. And then lastly is PPTX or slides generator. We can create a downloadable doc, and then you upload that to your own system, make it match your branding and images and whatever else you want to do. All right, so let's go. So my friends, before I move forward, I want to make sure you are all good to go. Give me feedback and say, yes, I understand. This makes sense. This is good. Or you can say, I don't understand anything you just went through. I'm confused. give me some feedback and let me know if this is helpful at all. I'll wait a second, make sure I can hear from you. Give me a comment, thumbs up. Let me know what's going on. And I'd love to see what all is helping or working with you all. Let me know. Let me know. Wait for it. I hope a heart means that's good. Thumbs up is good. Okay, we're good so far. Oh, thank you, Nina. It means a lot coming from the pro herself. This is good. All right, so enablement AI, once you badge enablement AI powered, what I just went through is an example of how AI can become AI powered. The goal, again, is to have business impact, which means that I want to make sure I can get through what I need to get through very, very quickly, so that I can get to things that only I as a human can do and not AI. I want to get all the stuff out of my way so I can focus on what my brain can do that AI cannot do. That's the whole point. Think about all the things become your org. People, process, and results. How can we make those AI powered? That's what I'm all about, is making sure that not only myself, but others in my team become AI powered, or our processes become AI powered. And so I want you to think about the things that I used to take, like as an example, coaching programs. To do a well thought out one would take me, I wouldn't say weeks, but it would take me a good few days. I've done it several times, but I have a template, but I always have to adjust that template to my specific company and my use case and the role and all that kind of stuff. But now I can take, this is an example of a coding process, just so you know, it's not for anything else. But the point is you can take things from days or weeks, depending on what you're working on, to hours. I can make a coaching program based on my own framework that I've developed over the years that used to take me, I mean, I've been at 4 or 5 companies in 10 years. And so it would take me a few days to make sure I get this right, or an onboarding program to make sure you get it right. I can now do it in literally an hour with ChatGPT, and I can move on to the next thing, which is amazing. This is why you should become AI powered, is just so for your own workflow, you can do things quicker and get to things you can do as a human. This is what I'm seeing. I saw this on Twitter. I love this graph because it's true. A lot of people are talking about AI. There are some people using AI. There's people actually applying it to the roles, and there's people doing the roles better, faster, and cheaper. So if you look at the blue dot, there's a lot of people talking about it. There's not very many people who are actually using it to the benefit. Like, they're using it, but they're not actually using it to help them. I can say that because of, I had a lot of time on my hands to practice, and now doing it in my role, I am now in the blue dot. I'd love to know where you guys are at, if you're in black, green, pink, or blue. So do me a favor, put in the chat if you're in black, green, pink, or blue. I'd love to see who's where, because I'm sure you're probably, if you're in the blue, you're probably doing things better or different than I am, and I'd love to hear what you're doing. So the last thing I'm going to end with this, which is GTM AI Academy. I'm going to be launching, technically I'm actually launched in a pre-launch, but I'll be fully launching this out on, I kind of had to push it back because of I'm in charge of a week-long training here for my team. But I'm pushing it back to October 8th is the official launch. So what I'm trying to do is I want to do Kanal, I kind of figured you're in the red, man. I love it. What I wanted to do is to create training that is not only general and specific, but it's also in depth for every GTM role. So I'm starting with enablement role specifically, and I'm going to be talking about how to use this with onboarding. What I just went through is one example of many of how I use AI with onboarding, sales coaching, content creation, KPI analysis, like how to use AI for all of these different categories with enablement specifically, so you can hopefully do your role better, faster, cheaper. I will then move on to GTM leaders, BDRs, SDRs, CSMs, salespeople. I'm going to do every single GTM role, and it's going to be its own individual course. I also have what I'm calling the Generative AI Foundations course. I'll be launching officially on October 8th. If you go to the website now, which I'll give you in a second, if you want to go look at it. Right now, I'm literally in the middle of uploading content as we speak, but I'll be launching live on October the 8th. If you want to be involved, please let me know, or just go to the website and sign up. There's a waiting list there, or sign up, I should say, there. And yeah, that's all I want to tell you is that we're going to be getting going here soon. I'd love to have you guys as part of it. If not, I will be doing more LinkedIn Lives like this that hopefully will be helpful to you and hopefully take you to the next level. The course is just obviously deep dive to each one and give a little more examples, and I have more time to do so. And I use learning methodologies to hopefully help you become a master at all this stuff. So, my friends, that is all I have for today. We're done. I got on time. 4 minutes left. I love it. Let me look at the responses. So we have I want to look at everyone's at. We have Sabrina's in gray, Ken's in black. Love hearing that. Ebony's in pink. This is good. Nina's in blue dot. That's good. I love the honesty. Sometimes blue, sometimes red from Canal. Audrey's light blue. Blue and red for Britta. Okay, there we go. Cool. Okay, my friends, that is all. I'd love to hear feedback. Leave your comments. Oh, I got to do one more thing. So sorry. I'm going to do one more thing. Let me do one more thing for you. So sorry. I'm going to share with you the 1 second. I'm going to take this. I'm going to post it in the comments. Here is the doc for everything I covered today. Bam. Okay, I just put in the comments link to a Google Doc that hopefully should work. If it doesn't, let me know, but you should be able to have access to this. And it has everything I just went over. You can literally copy paste it in, use it, tell me what works, tell me what doesn't work. Remember that on Scribe, you need to banter and do the expert things so that you are making the responses so much better. Get in there, use it, give me feedback, let me know what's going on. Until the next time, we'll see you soon. Thank you all so much for joining in. It's so good to have you all. I love, like, all the people in this thing are like some of my favorite people in Enablement. So I just want to tell you thank you. Have an amazing, glorious day. You're all amazing. See ya.